So carbon nano, come on, phaser, come on, carbon nano balls. I was able to get access to the actual study where they used microwaves with fish scales to transform some of the parts of this fish scale into a carbon nano onion ball. It's a microwave for 10 seconds, just like they say. I haven't fully read all the way through it. I need to get a little deeper. I'm kind of busy, but it just means that the microwave, for me, this is my caution. Like, I want to make sure that I have like a similar, microwave wattage or whatever it is. And so, like, testing is probably what that will turn into because I got the one microwave. So they probably have some science microwave that's, decently good, right? Pounds all those waves in. Yeah. But anyways, yeah. Let's see here. I was thinking about using sodium because sodium is pretty cheap. Most people can get salt, and most people can tend to heat up that salt to get the sodium out of it. Or you can just buy pure sodium, right, online. Like, it's actually fairly cheap. I think you can even get it on Amazon, to be fair. Right now, it's a rather annoying metal. It's very dangerous sometimes, and that's why it's in oil. Okay, so you gotta be careful with it. But in general, like, it's actually pretty fairly simple to work with. So the plan was, well, I don't have anything like anyone else. So here's this kind of idea. I'm throwing it at you. You take the sodium out of the equation right now, get a vacuum pot, right? You purge it with like an inert gas like argon, if you've got it. And Phaser boy now has to be on his leash. Come here, Phaser. Come here. Hey, Phaser. Wait a second. Alright, yeah, no, I got him on the leash. So here's that. Let's see here. So I was thinking about it, right? And it's like, alright, so I got a vacuum pack. Or vacuum pot, not pack, pot. And that's pretty simple, to get, usually. Fairly cheap too. If you've got one yourself, that's going to be even easier, I'm sure. But what that means is I can usually drill through the side of the pot and put an IR into it, so an IR heater. So as it's in a vacuum, I can heat it up with IR. IR is extremely good at heating up this thing called carbon. Turns out they absorb it really pretty decently well at those wavelengths, the infrared. So I'm like, all right, I got ionic wind. I can use electrodes since I already had to fucking drill through the damn thing. That's positive to negative stuff, that kind of thing, right? And it's kind of like that, but there's voltage, but there's no wind, so it's like actually electrons, except the wind now is the carbon nano onion balls, which means I can make them float in a vacuum, which is not a vacuum sputtering technique. It implies that I'm trying to sputter it to something. But anyways, I gotta do that, right, to then get that moved around the right way. So I can then preheat the sodium after I take it out and into another vacuum chamber. Now the preheat is it's on a stove in a pot, and then I vibrate it in the vacuum pot that it goes into, as it's a liquid now. That then makes it so under a vacuum it likes to turn into a vapor, especially when there's IR around. Then if I happen to make sure to use the ionic wind technique, I can get electromagnetic filament, basically, to form. Now I say filament because it's technically creating plasma channels that act and collapse like brief windows of opportunity of cable wires. So as I pulse it, which this is a sequence pulse thing that I think about. Now, to me, that's what that is. I don't care. But they go with a bunch of different names for this stupid shit. You go, you know, but all it means is you just gotta make sure it moves in the convection current, kind of like a up to down, off to the side, and then it starts rotating in a toroidal-like fashion, or it's like a donut, right? But like, there's a big old, I don't know if you hear that, big old semi trucks, garbage trucks decided to head on down to the campsite over here, along with the guy with the pretty cool looking camper van. I gotta tell you, it's a nice printer. You know, good gray, all that. Well, yeah, there's really no one around here though. Didn't expect anyone to be here. So there's that. You know what I mean? But nevertheless, I can still have fun walking my dog. So that's what that is. And this sodium thing, right? You know, so it's a pretty decently good, you know, small elemental, practically at that point, size. You know, sodium construction of vapor, which is nice, right? Like, yeah, you generally speaking, want. Okay, I'm gonna go a different direction than this one. Yep, this is definitely not an actual trail to go over that. The dog's gonna try and yank me into the fucking water, you bastard. It's a tiny log, dog. That's for people to go over, you fucker. Stop trying to yank me into it. Anyways, right, so sodium vapor gets used, right, to then go into the expanded and heated carbon nano-onion ball structure. Okay, right? And see, it's more neutral, so that's one of the ionic wind things that I'm doing. I'm actually trying to yank out electrons, right? So I'm using field, right, based designs, kind of like what we use, or I'll just shove a fuck ton of voltage and amperage through this given transformer, and there's neon in between, right? And it's like, yeah, but I don't want. That's really dangerous. That neon transformer. I actually don't want to do that. But if I just like kind of slightly, and then I just kind of yank it out. But if I just poke, yank. Good old phasing of electromagnetic field along with electrostatic negative. So positive electrostatic is what we typically see do something, right? But negative is basically a similar version, but you have to get a Z style. So that means it's positive, and then that positive goes somewhere else, right? And so that it's almost like a Bernoulli's principle, right? With a Carandra effect, effectively. So the surface layer, which is the skin effect in electrical engineering, with this coherer effect, which just means there's a small, tiny small molecular size like skin that's oxidized and has to go through that to then be more electrically conductive, right? Well, when you do this by doing that, they have a different name for it, I'm pretty sure, out there. But all it really means is tunnel gap, total energy gets much lower. And so it becomes such that you can actually break through that skin and you can, for sure, move electrons through it more easily. There's an electron hole that we are creating, and a redux, meaning a flow of the electrons that really goes through this circuit, one side to the other, right? Which then gives us a benefit that's rather significant. It means that we can turn the skin of many different things into something a lot more electrically conductive, electromagnetically capable than we otherwise would have been able to. Basically, most materials will do this. I say most because there are some exotic ones out there and certain plasmas and lots of other things that tend to get in the way, but these are usually extreme examples of shit that aren't really that relevant to most everyday life. So I don't really find them to be something you probably are going to care that much about. That's why I'm not talking about them. So instead, it's more like, oh, okay, well, how about this? We'll yank it out, It'll have it rotate and do its thing. And since there's an extra electron that is in sodium, that's why we use them, they're alkaline, well, it makes it so it sticks to the carbon onion, the carbon nano-onion ball, right? And that's really great. It makes it so it's more bonded ionically like. It's not actually, though. See, this is the thing that gets the electrons back later. That's the misnomer in this particular design, right? And it's a doping strategy. This is what they call it. I know. Looks like scientists like to have a little fun. Just saying. But yeah, they call it doping the carbon nanoanion balls. So they're heated up and they're made to get quite spread out, right? And then they're cooling off as we remove that and we add in also hot and moving electrons. So we're removing an electron technically. It's possible that it's getting removed from the orbit, right? It's not likely, though, to do that, right? Except if it does, that means it adheres and it goes in. It becomes heavier, which is a distillery-like situation. So you can put a nice, almost like a percolator basket here near the bottom. And you can suck out all your carbon nano-onion balls and sodium that got put together, right? Which is wonderful, but we're not done. It has to cool more, and actually it's technically negative and it's more acidic than we want it to be right now. So we have to add in a ceramic. So this is a high temperature ceramic that anybody can get off the shelf for like probably a lot of automotive shops and shit. You just spray it, but then you put an electrode in, and so that makes it positive, where the spray is. So as air comes in and it aerosolizes with this Venturi. Do you have a 3D printer? You know what a Venturi effect is? It sucks in some air, it speeds up, and then it mixes a little bit, and then it rapidly expands, right? That kind of thing. It gains speed, all that, right? It's what carburetors effectively work off of, right? And the Bernoulli principle Venturi effect is actually technically what your propane tips, the nozzles, or their torches work off of. So you probably know of it, you just didn't know that that's what it's called, right? Which is okay. But because it's brass, there's another big old semi-truck goes by. Anyways, point is, it's brass, so it's electrically conductive, so you can use that automatically. You can just use a brass piece, right? So you spray it in and you do your thing and you get like a good result of it sticking, like an eccentric coating. Now, then you have to grind them down because, unshockingly, there's no such thing as perfect first try, right? Usually, most people don't get that, right? Like, they don't get perfect first try. So instead, it's like, oh, it's coated, but there's clumps, and they're too big. They're not nano-sized now. So now we have to break them apart. We have to grind them down again. You got a rock tumbler, some bearings, ball bearings, something like that, and it's like, or even a motor pestle will do this, okay? And then like you have to do the ionic wind and spray part again. But because of this eccentric coating, it gained an electron and it sticks at the surface level. So when you grind them down, they're really hard and they're incredibly stable. Before, they were not. Sodium wants to effectively now bond ionically to the carbon nanoanion ball. And the carbon nanoanion ball is much more reactive because it has a very high surface area, and it suddenly has this other effect to it. So it's like there's electrons swimming in me, and I'm trying to get rid of them. So I repulse them, and then I move that electron. There's a hole gap now, and so then I tunnel back in, and I fall back. And what that does is it creates an electromagnetic field, but it's actually only as a direct result of a positive charge resonance drop. Right, and it's fairly strong, and it'll align things, right? Because it's kind of what it is. It aligns the movement of your electrons and their poles and their spin, which is great. However, the moment you put on this coating, it removes it, ish. Like things can still tunnel through, right? And you want it to be really small and really a thin coating here, you want like practically nothing on it, and that's a good thing, right? Because then that means you get this coherer, coandra, electron hole, Bernoulli principle, Venturi, skin effect sort of situation happening. Right? All simple stuff. You can kind of grasp it and see what's going on there, right? Which effectively means you have a very high voltage and you have a lot more electrons than you want, right? Which is great. Because then every one of these little tiny things can be packed together. You got a 3D printer, right? You don't have to, but if you do, this works for that. You can make little slides that each one of these little things fit into. Kind of like a pill, like a capsule, right? You buy the bulk powder and you put it into a capsule. But it's like, hey, don't worry. Just slide it into there. The tiny little holes, little, electroplating later onto the plastic. That gives you copper with the ability to then further ceramic coat it. And then, remember that vacuum pack thing I talked about? It was a little bit too quick to talk about it, but now you have that. Right, remember you have the vacuum thing, right? Well, get a sealing bag and a little needle. This little self-sealing, if you've ever inoculated certain things. Well, you might have known that this self-sealing, like silicone or rubber that they have, is a thing you can buy. The needle means you can suck out all the air and capture it in a bag. That effectively means it will not be able to have that particular issue with spark gap, electron tunnel, or any of those things really kind of happening with the voltage that is going on there, or the amperage as you combine multiple small micron and millimeter size packs together in a grid solid state array. Which then allows for you to gain a massive advantage, except others that are actually really, they're the big manufacturers, right? They got the big tools, that kind of thing, yeah. They'll shrink this down quite a bit, and they'll be able to pack more in. Remember, you have to work with this, so like every plate and all that you're setting up and making here is, flat packs you can use cylinders if you wanted to. It's still a thing, but like this is to go to a electric vehicle if you happen to want to use it, because it doesn't take much to go. Yeah, well, carbon nano-onion balls I can make, and then what is that, fiberglass? I heated them up in my pot. I plated it with copper, and then I put ceramic over it, and then I vacuum sealed around that, and kind of made sure that it was insulated and wrapped it with this nice 3D printed jig I made as I made all the jigs necessary to really kind of pound out a lot of these flat packs. And my coiled electric repulse, so electrically repulsive coil. And then this came with these magnets, if I ever fucking finally have iron nitride or trait, I'm pretty sure it's trait, iron nitrate, yeah. And you're saying that was going to get manufactured eventually. It hasn't yet. So there's that. Or at least I haven't seen waves of studies and everybody, this is the brand new thing. You want to use the iron nitrate, non-rare lanthanide, earth metal, neodymium magnet. I'm going to get the iron magnet. Yeah, that's way stronger than theirs, and it's a lighter weight as a result, and all that shit. Who wouldn't want that? Give me that right now. Can I get that? Is that for sale on Amazon? Can I get that? Right? As far, I don't know. I haven't looked it up in a while, so I don't know if they have it, but if they do, that'd be great. That'd be perfect. That means you can both do a hybrid phasing, so a three-phase motor that uses a phasing to both repulse but also attract, and so it switches, which is like my electromagnetic field that I absorb as a decay field on the opposite sides, and then it rotates here, it wirelessly charges, drains, and dumps with this phasing as an extra amperage in voltage, I guess. I can just run like amperage for here and voltage for that, and I can tune that with these different volt mechanical switch that goes into the digital controller that allows for my good old-fashioned electric motor, tiny boy, little electric vehicle here to get going up pretty fast. And the reason why I was thinking about this is because there's these electric vehicles up the road in Eager, over by this Circle K. They're tiny. One of them's only like $3,500, and I remember the Chang Li online. It took off, right? But it was like actually more like $5,000 to some odd $1,000 with all the shipping and then like customs and so on that they had to pay and all this other shit. So it was like the cheapest. It's not though at all. It's really not. And they're like, oh, sodium ion's way better than lithium ion these days. I mean, it weighs a little bit more than lithium, sure, but it's like carbon does too. And yet I packed way more into this, didn't I? I can always use the lithium, but I'm a sodium guy. So it's like, oh wow, coherer effect. That means it breaks through the little, and then it self-seals. So when it's done in a vacuum like that, it'll like this paint, that self-heals, this crystalline structure paint stuff. And it's like, oh, I can still cool it, as I can just basically make copper in between the plastic, or really honestly, I could just run any kind of liquid that just doesn't, for the bag that's there, break it down. In fact, oil would probably work just fine. Like a certain, maybe this is acidic and then this is an alkaline over here. They want to use electrons to move that. You know what I mean? And, kind of pump. Right, there's heat here. Maybe a little light there. There's this radiator going on. All of a sudden, it like kind of does this thing where it goes over, but then there's a hole over here and then goes right back in, and it grabs mostly just atmosphere stuff. Like a battery that's a generator almost. Now, it's very low amounts of amperage and volts, sure. But, you don't have to care that much. You only need to slightly cool this anyways. Get my, solar panels, the little fold-out bastards, It's like, oh, wow, how did you manage to wind coil? If you were able to do this, I can't possibly. Yeah, slow and steady wins that race. Look it up. Yeah, slow and steady wins that race if you want to make it. Slow and steady, baby. Slow and steady. Slowly get there, you know what I mean? Hey, it's a repulse now. Yeah, no, you just got to fire it in this sequence. Hey, it's rotating at this RPM. That means this is going to basically be here at these points, at these, distances from the center, right, of the circle that you got, the plates. I was like, no, my axle happens to have magnets and coils, or well, no, that's radial for you. But don't worry, it's not actually. It's axial, apparently. What's the difference? Yeah, the plate-looking one is radial, I thought. No, it's axial. Why? What for? Because the axle. What? How is it? What is this? What? Why do they name it? Look, it doesn't really matter. Point is, the flux is moving around the correct way to move, and then you move on. But in reality, it's like they just didn't want to explain that a bunch of people naming things didn't name it for the outside way it looks. It names itself based upon the way the flux is moving relative to this right angle and perpendicularity of something, which is a collapsing Lorentz force if you look at that. But anyways, got to put some stators here. Oh no, my coils that are inside of my rotating circle of plastic and some plating. Got some sheet steel. Yeah, I can do some of that. Oh no, whatever will I do? Make my own electric motor? Attach to my own electric motor? Why would I ever? I modified sodium batteries I bought to replace and get around that. Oh no, my motor is going much faster now. My torque is off the charts. I'm cooling it too. Oh no, it's a sealed cooled system. Yeah, it's a pump at that point, technically. If you think about it. But it's not really. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, I thought I was just cooling them. Oh yeah, no, yeah, it's cool, it goes through, there's this little area here, puts in cold water, and then that air goes in, it's cold, and then it like blows air out. I put this like heat sink, like heat pipe thingy over here. Then I was all like, oh yeah, it's gonna go back over to here where my batteries are. Point is, yeah, I could do all of that. I was thinking about it because I was like, man, it would be nice for like a week a week or three of an adventure, and it's camping out in this tiny little fucking itty bitty electric vehicle that's perfect for just putt-putting around the area for what it's worth. Like it really is. It's a really small little electric vehicle. It's probably got like 50 miles of range. It costs less than a fucking e-bike of comparable. Yeah, well, not even comparable for what it's worth, actually, which sucks. It's like, no, it can actually go faster now, and it has more range, and it costs less than an e-bike. How is that comparable? How is that comparable? I don't know. I don't get it either. But like, you got insurance and this and blah blah or whatever it could be, standard shit, right? And then, oh man, it's basically better than the Chang-Li because it's not nearly as cheap. It's true. I was already going to modify a little of this. 3D print out this like little hood grill kind of thing. Hold it on, right? Got like extra room here for the groceries. I can do my own inflatable by buying it because fuck that. Tent and then put a tent inside that. All right, get my solar panels. I got my like nice little cool boy, move here of like, hey, see, there's this spring I found randomly. I just fell off some kind of car or something. I have this crank here, and it fucking lifts the spring up slowly. And this is an auger attached to this like axle. Anyways, it's like, yeah, getting the drill done, in the ground. Except I have to wet the water, and it's like an auger. It's not a real auger. It's different, actually. I have to do that, right? But then it's like, hey, that's my rocket campfire there. There's a stove, technically. It's like, hey, remember that thing that has the whole, that's going to be kind of heavy, right? So it's like, here's these poles, that not out of nowhere. I mean, you clearly needed them, like, obviously. So, like, you're stupid if you thought that you didn't. So, yep, yeah. Get it in there, and then, hey, I lifts up the ground, of course, because and it's heavy anyways, right? Like, who wants to hold it? Exactly. So it's like, all right, then I put them in there, in the sides. After I scoop out with this tarp. Where did this tarp come? I'm not gonna ever. Why would I ever, as a camper, have a tarp? Oh wait, no, we always bring tarps, don't we? I have this platform I kept with me, right? And then I have this like tarp that then has this like little slidey ring thingy to this platform. I had these two coolers. There's this warm water. I put it into one of the coolers. I put some more warm water in the morning. I have my fresh fucking hot water. I got this little like spinny doohickey thing. What it does? It does this Stirling effect. There's a vacuum here. There's air outside. It does this little like heating of that water, just make sure it's just the right temperature, or cooling if I needed it. You know what I mean? Like whatever, right? put it up a little higher, use these ropes and a pulley system. I have no idea how the hell I got these ropes and pulleys. I couldn't bring that with me. Put a rock in that fucking hole, you know what I mean? Put a little grate down there, get some sticks or, bring my own pole. You know what I mean? And I can sling something over that. That way I got a nice parabolic spike, curves up, does its nice little vortex, and burns the hell out of everything down there. You know what I mean? As I stick some sticks and logs in the side with these tubes, Right? And it's like, oh, I got this vacuum pack sealer, right? Got some dry ice and get from the grocery store. I got some regular ice, right? Got this other cooler, guess it keeps it cool. Got this dehumidifier, just taking water from the air. Got a nice filter system for it. Got this buoyancy, it's called a weather balloon. I don't know, I got some helium, right? And it's got this little compressed can. I got this air compressor, just in case my tires go down. Got this little tube here that sticks out of this, cooler that goes off to the, so that way you don't, because it's going to off gas, right? So it's like, instead of like thinking, oh, I need to worry so much about that, why don't I just like stick it out, side so it doesn't actually cause me to asphyxiate, standard shit. Anyways, go back to that weather balloon, and we're looking at it. It's like I got this like little, thing I 3D printed out. It's sliding. I plated some of it, right? I was like, what is that? Well, there's these hanging down, like these counter rotating, I don't know, like ducted Duval like looking windmills. They got this tether thing, right? They got some fiberglass rope, coated that with some nylon, I got like a little copper cable, and I got the like Starlink here. I don't know if I even need it, really. I mean, honestly, right? Do I? I can just use like one of these other things for cell phones or whatever. But anyways, it's like up there at the top of the balloon, and there's a nice little structure over that, right? And that way, that big boy weight system down here keeps it nice and stable. Ish, right? You know what I mean? Because I got tethers and all that, so like you got to balance it with the weight. You know what I mean? At the top, right? Swings into the wind. The little windmill. Right? Now I'm the contraption guy. It's like, I hate you. You brought contraptions with you to like make it really easy to dig a hole in the ground and then fill it up later. You made it really easy to like probably heat some wood above and around it, dry it off, throw it in there. Made it really easy to probably like, I get to walk around at my camp spot, gather some wood, hike maybe, see something other than like a screen. That kind of thing. Like real simple stuff, right? Real simple, right? Easy all day. Anybody really, I mean, does it need to be this fucking thick boy truck car spring you're probably imagining? No, get out of here. Fucking jeez. I don't need that. I'm cranking this thing. This is just extra energy I can put in that's stored, so it makes it far easier to fucking drill into the wet ground. You have to get it wet. Yeah, you said that you had to get it wet. I can't believe you have to get wet ground. I can't believe, is that actually allowable? So that way it's easier to get the ground up out of the ground. Yeah, it is. Oh, really? You don't say, fucking dummy. Fucking stupid over here. But like that's the thing. It was like, well, that's my water. I couldn't dehumidify the air and get some more water. Couldn't use this nice contraption, this dehumidifier, to like, what is this? See, this I have to get into this. This tarp, oh my God, you said it was just one tarp. It is. It's just stuck together. Two of them separate, you know what I mean? Air comes in one way, goes up, and has to go back down to reach you. That way it blows, and you got the little circle ring at the top, and you can hang up off the side of your vehicle or on some tree or some shit. Yeah, I mean, that way it's nice and opaque, and it doesn't stick to you all the time, and it sucks. But there's water that's going out. My dehumidifier, no. I put it right there. Oh my goodness, am I terrible now? No, you're beautiful. You're wonderful. You're amazing. You understood it. You now get a lot of that water back. Oh my God. Oh my God, I got a water filter system from this platform. So I'm on I'm a raised nice platform. That way I don't like fall and die. Fucking hate that thing. You know what I mean? Like it's just fucking uneven ground. It's wet now. It's mushy mud bullshit. No platform. That platform's there for a reason. It's going to store that water. I'm going to filter that bitch out. I'm going to let it heat up with this nice little solar panel. You know what I mean? In no way, actually. Like, genuinely, in no way. I'm just like, let's just put the tarp up there. It's shiny enough. And more light in there. Fucking evaporate, bitch. Scrape it out. It's basically just you raise like two little things, and you have those little things in between, and they kind of triangle, and scaffold, kind of real strong stuff, basically. For what it's worth, and you kind of roll fold it as multiple little slats, kind of thing, and then boom, little sticky, spikes there, right? That way it stays in. Nice little padding that you can put around it, like earth, probably. Right? And it's like, oh yeah, no, nice platform, all right. Just fucking let it slowly, right, and just drain it. I'll just take out. Hey, I can probably bring my. I mean, I'm getting the extra electricity for my solar, my wind, whatever, right? Like, that's night and day and night together. You know what I mean? It's easy all day. I can do that. Okay, why not? Yeah, I'll just run my vacuum pump, and it's hot enough. Easy. Boils off. Simple. Filter it out. Dehumidify that shit, right? Possible, I guess, somehow. Couldn't seal the thing and allow a little bit of air as it boils to come in. That way it doesn't collapse. I couldn't do that. No, that would be terrible. It's going to collapse, says this dumb guy. Are you standing on it? Why are you standing on it with the vacuum on it? What are you doing? Get out of here. Meanwhile, it changes the actual parameters of the little reed valve. It's now already bending a little bit more. It takes less energy for it to go in. Darn check valves, let me tell you. They're impossible. I can't 3D print that. I can't get shim steel. Apparently, I'm just like really dumb and totally unable to find anything. I have no money even beyond my ass that's currently saying this, which I have no income and I really don't have money. So it'd take me a little while, but I could get it. And it's just like, no, you can't. Sure. Nah, it's good. Suck it. It's like, all right, well, no, I've got like a nice little roof rack here too that's on those vehicles, like already. I don't want to fucking sleep on that fucking thing, It's not meant to handle like that kind of weight either. So here's a little bit more food or something, you know what I mean? Or store my contraptions, right? Contraption guy, they hate me because they ain't me. Remember that one back in the day? They hate me because they ain't me. I made it so much easier on myself to fucking drill into this bitch. Jesus Christ. So much easier. I can go and have fun. I got all the water I need. I got electricity and glamping just a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, it's so terrible. But it's like, no, I can't go on this big fucking fat honker of a goddamn off-road 4x4 trail. No, come on, man. Like, be reasonable. Have fun. Go off to the side. You'll have fun. You go down a little further. Stay there for a couple days. Let it recharge. Do your thing. Enjoy yourself. Give you like a week. Yourself like a week. Maybe something fails. Maybe something goes wrong. All right, well, you have to fix it anyways. Give yourself a couple more days to get it, and then you that, and then go back off to doing it. You got yourself 3 weeks really technically off there. Why not? Right? Isn't that like a nice, fun little time to do? And then like over here, where I'm at, a lot of hills, but they're not that bad. for this. That's like grocery getter all day, save a fuck ton on gas. Electricity, you think it's like, man, it's going to be massively expensive. How much you pay in gas? Fuck ton more than that electricity. I'll tell you that much. So you go, oh my God, it went up $5 a month. Well, but you don't pay anything for gas. So what did you really lose? Now, granted, that's if you're within the two-town kind of area, within like probably 20 miles or something, you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. Versus like, hey, I'm literally in the next town over. It's like 2 hour drive or some shit, you know what I mean? Like, or it's an hour drive, you know. Like, oh yeah, no, this is probably not, what we're talking about for you. Sorry, dude, there, but like maybe over in your actual area, it would work. You know what I mean? It's perfect for like, hey, I'm a teenager or young kid or whatever, and all of a sudden I want to have a little bit more independence, right? But I need to learn how to drive, and it's scary, it goes too fast, or whatever it could be. Or I, as the parent, just don't really want to give you that. I feel a lot more comfortable you not getting that far. I'm just saying. Right. Like, oh, you went off into the woods a little bit with your friends. Yeah, I know what the fuck's going on. Like, I mean, come on. Like, but you weren't able to go that far. You weren't able to fuck yourself up. Yeah, you got groceries for me. Hey, yeah, huh? Yes, you did. Nice. I can trust you a little bit more, huh? Well, there you go. All right. All that stuff. It's like, it sounds great, truthfully, when you think about it. Like, it's like a nice little, like, that one was 34 or something, which means I'm rounding up to 3,500. And then there's another one that's over there that's like 5 something, right? You can put 4 people in them, and, having the extra space for the groceries and all that. And oh man, I spend so much money. I spent like $10,000 I would have spent on a fucking e-bike. But you know what? I got 4 wheels instead, and more cargo space, and more safety. And hey, I also got like camping gear. I could probably get a little bit of a lift there, a little suspension, a little something, right? I got a better motor, right? Got more battery storage. Ooh, right? I've got some solar panels over here. I got a 3D printer. Well, I always wanted to tinker around with those fuckers. Oh, whoops! Oh, I need a reason for this. Oh, right. Hey there, significant other of mine. Yes. So I'm making a windmill, and we're teaching the kids about this. Yep, that's what this is. That's what this has been about the entire time. It's about the windmill that we're building right now. It's a whole thing. I wanted this vacuum pot for something else, but now it's about this. Isn't that fun? It's like, man, hey, I learned science and technology and all these cool things, and I'm a really cool person. And actually, yeah, I would say that you are. I personally am that guy that tends to go that way. Not everybody is. I get that. Okay, whatever. Point is, though, hey, is it impossible for me to do that little windmill thing, that's buoyant and like, because it's like a little gas can, I'm assuming. Yeah, pretty much. It's a small, there's a little helium in there. You got to compress it, right? But like, you keep it cool, it's going to do that over time. You're going to have to bring it down anyways, right? So you have to cool it as it goes through the compressor, and then it condenses, and then like you can store more in the can, but the can is a misnomer in a way, right? Isn't that a tank? It's pretty much just a bigger, small can, really. It's a small tank. Yeah, it's a really small tank, but it's pretty much that. Right? Like, it's really seeming the size and the shape of it. Is it more pill, capsule pill-like? That's probably more like a tank. You know what I mean? That's probably what that is. That's what that will be. Yeah, like I can get that pretty easy. I'm pretty sure you get the spherical to the more pill, right? Whatever version you want to go with. I'm personally am more of the pill shape, the capsule pill shaped guy, just because it's less total volume it takes up. Right? Yeah. So like that's me. But hey, you might actually just want to stick it in the rear of your vehicle, right? Get some extra tires or something. It's basically just off-road, side by sides, 4x4, tires and a little suspension tune. Might have one of those broken lying around. Yeah, you might actually. I don't know. I don't know what your life is. If you don't, it's okay. There's nothing like eBay or Craigslist to find something. It's like, hey, kid, you know what? We're going to teach you this. We're going to help you learn to wrench and do all these cool things. and I'll trust you a little bit more. You know what I mean? I'll let you do a little bit more. And if you get this done, I'll let you run this little electric vehicle around. I'll get you some money and all that. You know what I mean? And like you might actually be able to get a job from there and all this other stuff, right? And you might still use this just because of how expensive cars are for what it's worth to maintain and more. Like, hey, yeah, no, oh, is it really that expensive, huh? Is bullshit, is it? Yeah, no, you're right. It is actually, isn't it? It is actually for what it's worth, right? Now, you're getting paid like next to nothing. The government's kind of fucking you over, but it's not because of the taxes. It's actually just them doing a bunch of other dumb shit after a while. What the fuck is that? You know? Oh, right, you're too young for that right now. My ass, they should probably know about that and learn like how bad that is and scary it's going to be for them in the future, likely, and how they have to fight to make it so that way they don't seem to just overrun things and make it worse for everyone. Which is scary when you think about that. Like they don't care. They're fine screwing themselves over to screw you over. Like, what the hell is that? You know, what happened to our humanity after a while and empathy? It's crazy. Anyways, but we're talking about sodium-filled carbon nano-onion balls, right? That we turn into a clear flat pack battery uh, constructed brick mortar like system. Because you remember the mortar, like that's like this, oil or something, right? Whatever you gotta do. And then, hey, but like it worked though, and it's not as good as you manufacturers. I get it. Sure, yes, okay, fine. And you can weigh less and you have more. Still got 10,000 watt hours though. Can't get fish scales. Can't get a microwave. I don't have random copper crud just lying around. Nah, I can do all this. Are you kidding me? We have a better fucking system than this. It might weigh a little bit more than you. Meanwhile, it weighs less than my other one, or about the same, and it has more watt hours and volts and amperage capacity. Which, if you know, that means you can run a stronger electric motor. It's not going to feel quite so lethargic to a degree. Wonderful for around the town, right? And sure, you might be able to get somebody on, some kind of race if you were at a track or whatever, the right distance, all that. But like, let's not do that. Let's talk about how it's a good camping kind of like little fun toy to have, and it's great for reducing the price of things for you. Like, oh, I don't need to get this oil change. It's like, oh, I don't need to pay all this money for gas. Oh, it's way cheaper for it to be insured. My goodness. Oh, I can't possibly just stick my windmill out there and some solar panels. I got Jackery solar panel or whatever the fuck it is, right? Those little fucking fold out bastards. Can't do that. Leave it alone for a couple. I was like, dude, I need it for this thing that's, right. So, but then like, hey, I need my vehicle go off into the woods or whatever it could be. That's far more. Yeah, you gotta really use that for that. All right, but like, wouldn't that cut down price over time? Like, wouldn't you want it to really kind of get to that point where it keeps paying itself back, right? So it's like, man, why wouldn't I go a little upgrade? So it's $10,000, huh? I gotta get a little of this. It's like, how long does that pay itself back? Well, with the way gas prices are currently, and the way insurance of this particular, it looks like this is, and the price of this maintenance is really low, especially over that amount of time. I can just refurbish those batteries myself. I know how to do that. I got fish scales. I can make Jesus Christ, man, I could do that easy all day. But yeah, I did a little math. It's like a couple of years probably to like maybe, I don't know, 10 at most, but that's like really not using it and all this other stuff. Yeah, but it's a fun toy to have nevertheless, right? Seems like it's worth it. And that's sodium filled carbon nano onion balls. That's what that is. All right, bye.